would mostly be with Laura since she had more flexible work hours. I'd take weekends and some evenings. We agreed on protocols for making medical and educational decisions together. We established clear financial responsibilities, including splitting medical costs and setting up child support payments. Keith explained that this still wouldn't be legally binding until after the birth, when we could formalize everything through the courts. But having it written down now meant we both understood what we were committing to. Laura signed the updated document, and so did I. Keith made copies for both of us. I put mine in a folder with all my other baby paperwork that was slowly taking over my desk. The next week, I went apartment hunting. My sublet was fine temporarily, but I needed a real long-term place where my son could stay with me regularly. I looked at probably 10 different apartments before finding a one-bedroom that had enough space for a small nursery area. The rent was $200 more than my sublet, but the location was good, and the building was safe. I filled out the application and provided all the required documents. 3 days later, the landlord called to say I was approved. I signed the lease that same afternoon, officially committing to staying in the city and being an active parent. That night, I measured the space where the crib would go and started planning the layout in my head. Late one night, about a week later, my phone buzzed with a text from Laura. I almost ignored it, thinking it was another furniture picture, but then I read it. "I'm sorry. For everything. For the affair. For manipulating you with the experiment. For making such a mess of our lives. I take full responsibility for what I did. I know saying sorry doesn't fix anything, but I needed you to know that I understand how badly I hurt you." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me wanted to write back something angry. Instead, I wrote that I appreciated the apology, but what mattered now was moving forward as co-parents. We couldn't change the past, but we could choose how we handled the future. She sent back a simple okay, and that was it. I put my phone down and went to bed, feeling like maybe we were finally getting to a place where we could actually make this work. Chase showed up the next Saturday with his truck and a toolbox. We loaded boxes of baby stuff I'd been collecting, the disassembled crib still in its packaging, a changing table from a secondhand store. The new apartment felt empty when we carried everything up the stairs. Chase helped me position the crib in the corner of my bedroom, where it would get the best light from the window. We spent 2 hours following the instruction manual, connecting rails and tightening bolts. The changing table went next to it with a basket underneath for diapers and wipes. Chase stepped back and looked at the setup. He didn't say anything about Laura or the situation, just helped me organize the small space into something that could work for a newborn. When he left, I sat on my bed staring at the empty crib. My son would sleep there in a few months. The thought made my hands shake a little. At week 32, Laura and I met at the hospital for the scheduled tour. A group of about 15 couples gathered in the lobby, all of them holding hands or touching each other's backs. The tour guide, a nurse in purple scrubs, led us through the maternity ward, showing us the triage area where we'd check in during labor. She explained the admission process and what to bring. We walked past several delivery rooms with their big beds and monitoring equipment. The nurse pointed out the birthing tubs and talked about pain management options. She kept gesturing to Laura and me together, saying things like, "You'll want to make sure your partner knows where to the park," and "Dads can stay overnight in the room." Neither of us corrected her. It was easier than explaining that we were co-parents but not together, that we'd broken up during the pregnancy, that this whole situation was complicated. Laura's hand brushed mine once in the hallway and I moved it away. The tour ended with a visit to the nursery, where we could see newborns through the glass. They looked so small and fragile. I tried to picture myself holding one in a few weeks. 2 days later, Laura texted asking if I had time to talk about names. We met at the same coffee shop where this whole mess had started months ago. She had a list on her phone of boys' names